Riddle Halacha of the day. A husband came home from a long day of work, walks into the house, his wife greets him with a big smile and a very big hug. The children follow suit, all the children run to the father, everybody gets a hug and everybody gets a kiss. They sit down half an hour later to have a beautiful dinner. Everybody's happy. 2 hours later, the father walks into the bedroom, and half an hour later, his wife follows suit. While they're in the bedroom, they start a small conversation. The husband asked her, "How was your day?" And she starts telling him how her day was. In the middle of saying how her day was, she said something that upset the husband very much. And they got into a heated argument where the husband told her, "No, you go sleep on the couch." And she said, "Why should I sleep on the couch? You go sleep on the couch." And they started arguing like this for the next 15 minutes. The kids in the other room started hearing this, not understanding what is going on. Everything was fine. Why are they arguing? Everything up to now was fine. Rabotai, the riddle is, what did the wife say to the husband that got him upset to such an extent that they started arguing who's going to sleep on the couch? Rabotai, this case, we see this almost all the time. I at least get these cases almost all the time. This case over here, the riddle can be solved from a Sechet Shabbat and Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph and Daf Yud Gimel Amud Bet. That's page 13, side 1 and side 2. This riddle is answered like this. As the wife was explaining to her husband her day, she said, "You remember when you walked in a half an hour before me? Why do you think I walked in and half an hour after you?" She's telling him, because after the meal everything was fine, but I got my period. And the problem was that once a woman receives her period, a man is no longer allowed to sleep with her in that same bed. So why did the husband get upset? Isn't that what the halacha says? Correct. But the husband was very excited to be with his wife that night. Whatever, he prepared himself to be with her, not knowing that this is going to come to him as a surprise. So after that, they start arguing who's going to sleep on the bed versus the couch. Because we'll see, according to halacha, when a woman has her period, until she doesn't go to the mikveh, she's not allowed to sleep with her husband on the same bed. So this was the argument. She was telling him, "You go sleep on the couch," and he was telling her, "No, you go sleep on the couch." Rabotai, in this case, who sleeps on the couch? I don't have to tell you. It is very simple. Women are not soldiers, men are soldiers. Men could even sleep on the floor. So if there's no room in the house for another bed, the husband, while his wife saw her period, in which is called basically, she is a nida, she has to sleep on the bed and he has to sleep on the couch if they don't have an extra room for an extra bed. Because a lot of people don't know this halacha, that in a room, in any bedroom, you want to always try to have 2 separate beds. The 2 weeks that you could be with your wife, you're on that bed where you're going to be with her. The 2 weeks that you cannot be with your wife, you're on your own bed where you cannot be with her on that bed. Meaning she sleeps on her bed and you sleep on your bed. Rabotai, why is this halacha so important? Very often, I get this question, and a lot of times it's from people that actually keep Torah and mitzvot. But unfortunately, not all of us are very learned where we have the opportunity, the merit to sit and learn the Torah and learn the laws the way they're supposed to. One time a person came up to me, one time a lady came up to me and she said, "Can do Chanukah Bayit?" I said, "Okay, no problem." So we went and we did Chanukah Bayit. Meaning, right, we say the blessing and so on and so forth. Then we put up the mezuzah. So as we went to put up the mezuzah in her bedroom, with her husband of course, we saw that the bedroom was very small. If you ever take a master bedroom, if you ever take a master bed and you put it into one regular kid's bedroom, it almost takes up all the space. That's how big the room was. That was their master bedroom. The another room was half that size. It was a very small apartment. So I asked her, I said, I don't understand. When you're going to be in Nida, where does your husband sleep? In front of both of them. So the husband said, what's the problem? I sleep with her on the same bed. I said, you sleep with her on the same bed? That is a very big no-no. You're not allowed to sleep with your wife on the same bed when she is a Nida. There are restrictions also on your own wife. At the time when she is a Nida, she becomes like your sister. Rabotai, I want to read for you the severity of this Averum. A lot of people take it very lightly, and we should try to, educate ourselves in these laws and educate our wives and our husbands in these laws, because there's something very severe. I wish every single one of us, Rabotai, Ad Mei V'Esrim, everybody should live up to 120 years of age. But when we do certain Averos, those Averos they shorten a person's life. Why should a woman be without a husband another 60 years? Or why should a husband be without a wife another 60 years? Why can they both live long lives? Rabotai, very simple. There's certain sins that where you think that if I do it, it's okay. What am I doing? I'm not doing anything wrong. There are certain sins that HaKadosh Baruch Hu takes them into consideration, and He removes the person from this world before his time. So if a person had to go at 100, he would go half at 50. So the wife could have enjoyed and lived with him, and he could have seen grandchildren, and so on. He could have seen the world. But because of our, I don't want to say stupidity, because we're not educated enough, we're the one that causes all these problems. And then we blame Hashem. Rabotai, Hashem is not at fault. Hashem gave us the Torah, and He says, "Ubecharta b'chayim." He says clearly, please choose life. You choose life, you will have a long life. I would like to read for you guys the story, Masechet Shabbat. Bring down the sources. Everything needs to be documented, like I always say. Very, very critical about documentation. Without documentation, Rabotai, my words do not mean 2 cents. The Gemara Masechet Shabbat and Daf Yud Gimel Amud Aleph brings down a story with a Talmid Chacham. Listen to this, Rabotai. A Talmid Chacham. I'm not speaking about a regular person who's an ignoramus, who doesn't learn, who works all day. I'm speaking about a Talmid Chacham that learns Torah all day. The Gemara says over there, Tana de Eliyahu. It was taught in the yeshiva of Eliyahu. That means Eliyahu Hanavi. It was in his yeshiva. There was a story with one student that he learned a lot of Mishnayot, and he learned a lot of Chumash. He was a very big Talmud. And then he also went and he served Talmidei Chachamim to understand what the Mishnah says, meaning learning Gemara. Umet bechatzi yamav. I'm reading you this in Hebrew so you guys can see. This Talmid Chacham died half of his age. He didn't make even the other half. So if he was supposed to live till 80, he probably died 40. 60, he probably died 30. Whatever age you want to say he was supposed to live to, half of that age he died. So Rabotai, you have to understand the other half, you're missing out on the mitzvot, you're missing on to being with your children and your grandchildren and with your wife and living the life and enjoying the life. Why? Because they wanted to think that what they're doing is right. But in halachically, if it's wrong, it's wrong. V'haita, Rabotai, listen to this carefully, and his wife, she would take his tefillin, that the guys put on their hand and the arm. She would take his tefillin, and she would go to every single synagogue that there is, and every single study hall that there is. And she would say to all the rabbis, all the students, all the Talmidei Chachamim over there, it says in the Torah these words, Ki hu chayecha v'orech yamecha. It says over there, anybody who learns Torah, anybody who follows Torah, if this is your life, and it will only increase your days. A person who learns Torah, a person who follows in the ways of Hashem, Hashem is only going to give you a long life. Look at the Gedolim, Rabotai. Look at the Gedolim up to, I can show you over here. If you guys see right over here. Look at these Gedolim. How old were they that they died? Right over here. All these Gedolim, Rabotai, how old were they that they died? 80, 90, 100, some of them, if not more. When a person sticks to Hashem's Torah and Hashem's mitzvot, Hashem is a father. He only wants to give back to you. So the wife, this Almana Lolin Rabotai, this widow right now, she didn't understand. Tell me, how is it contradicting? So this Almana, she didn't understand. How could it be there's a clear verse in the Torah that says anybody who goes in the ways of Hashem, he's going to get long life. So what did her husband do wrong? Listen to this, Rabotai. She says, Bali, she says, my husband, he learned a lot of Mishnah, he learned a lot of Torah. He went and he served Amri Chachamim like the Gemara to understand what the Mishnah was saying. Why? Listen to this. She says, why did her husband die half of his years? Nobody was able to give her an answer because her question was a real question. One time, Eliyahu Navi says he needed to comfort the woman. So one time, Eliyahu Navi says he went and he became a guest by her. And she had told him the whole story with her husband. And she started asking him, why did all this happen? So Eliyahu, she's not knowing that he's Eliyahu. So Eliyahu Navi told her, he says, my daughter, let me ask you a question. When you were a Nida, what were the halos by you? How did he behave towards you? She says to him, Chas v'shalom, God forbid, afilu be'etzbe katana lo negabi. He didn't even touch me with a pinky. Because when a woman is in Nida, when she sees her period, until she doesn't go to the mikvah, her husband is not allowed to touch her. He can't even eat from the same plate that she eats. He can't even drink from the leftover drink that she has. Rabotai, there's a lot of halachot to this. This is not, I can't get all the halachot over here, but we should educate ourselves in this. So she said to him, God forbid that he would even touch me with one finger. So he asked, okay, fine. What about when you were no longer in Nida, meaning when you stopped seeing the blood, now you have to wait 7 clean days before you go to the mikvah. What about those days? How did he behave towards you? Did he touch you then? She says to him, he ate with me, he drank with me, and the language of here I said in Hebrew so you guys can see it. V'yashan imi bikiru basar, and he slept with me by our flesh touching. V'lo alta da'ato al davar acher, but you should know he wouldn't think about God forbid to have relations with me. You know what Eliyahu Navi said to her? He says, Baruch hamakom sheharago. Blessed is Hashem that killed this Talmud Chacham, that he took him before his time. Why? Shelo nasa panim la Torah. Because Hashem didn't show him favor just because he learns Torah. Rabotai, Hashem is Hashem. When we go against this Torah, it's like, you try to give a person a gun to defend the country, he uses the gun to kill the country. What's Pshat? He says over here, Share Amra Torah, because the Torah says, Ve'el Isha binida tumata lo tikrav. It's a verse in the Torah, a guy is not allowed to come close to his wife when she's in Nida, because she's in a very high state of impurity. But Rabotai, this is one version. When Rav Dimi came, he says, not God forbid that they touch each other. He says it was only one bed, but they would not touch each other. They would sleep apart from each other, but on the same bed. In the West, they said, in the name of Rav Yitzchak, the son of Yosef, she would wear like a small apron that divided between both of them, but still they slept on one bed. Rabotai, the reason why I read for you this Masech Shabbat and David Gimel Amud Aleph and Bet is for the people, for us to see, Rabotai. It is not a joke. If we don't do Averos, there's no reason why there should be problems in the world like we're seeing now. Look what's going on in Israel. They're living their lives in fear. I get these text messages in Israel, how they have to always run into the shelter and so on and so forth, when they're allowed to daven, when they're not allowed to daven. Now after they killed this leader, whatever, I forgot his name, now they want to retaliate, so everybody's afraid. Rabotai, we don't have to be afraid of our enemies. We have to be afraid of the sins that we do. All this that I brought down regarding sleeping and touching, eating, Rabotai, all these are halachot in the Shulchan Aruch in Simon Kuf Tzad Gei. That's chapter 195. In Halacha Vav, in Halacha law number 6, the Shulchan Aruch says, Lo Ishan Ima Bimita Afilu Kol Echad Bebigdo Ve'en Nogim Ze B'Zeh. The Shulchan Aruch says that a husband is not allowed to sleep with his wife on the same bed, even if they're both dressed. The Ramah goes on to continue to say that even if they have two separate beds, but they're touching each other, they're not allowed to sleep like that. There has to be a difference. You have to, like about, I would say like about this much. What am I saying? Like, let me say about 3 feet or something like that. There has to be a distance between your bed and her bed. When she is in Nida, you sleep on your bed. When he is in Nida, when she's in Nida, he sleeps on his bed. Rabotai, this is halacha number 1. Another halacha says that you're not even allowed in halacha Hey, in the same Siman 195, Lo yishev b'mita hamiyuchedet la afilu shelo b'fanecha. A husband is not allowed to sit on his wife's bed when she's in Nida, even if the wife is not there. Rabotai, another halacha in halacha Daled, what I said before, a husband lo yishte mishure kosh shatahi. You're not allowed to drink from the remnants of your wife. If she, let's say, left this orange juice over, you're not allowed to go ahead and drink from the same straw that she drank. Drink from the same cup that she drank. A few more halachot, we're almost done. And then he says in halacha bet, he says, Lo yigaba afilu be'etz bekatana. Do not touch your wife when she's in Nida, even with a pinky. V'lo yashid miyada liyada shum davar. You're not even allowed to pass this pen to her hand. She cannot go like this. You cannot go like this. Why? Because he says, "V'lo yikabla miyad Hashem yiga bebasara." We're afraid that when you're going to pass to her, you're going to come and touch her by accident. So you can't even pass to your wife things when she is a nida. And in halacha Aleph, Rabotai, very important halacha, in halacha number 1, and Siman 195, Chayav Adam lifrosh mishto b'imei tumato ad shetispor v'tidvol. A man is obligated to separate, to distance himself from his wife when she sees her period, when she's impure, until she counts and she goes to the mikvah. V'lo yizchok v'lo yikel rosh ima afil b'dvarim. Rabotai, the husband should not be lightheaded with his wife when she's in Nida. He should not play any games with her. Why? Shem yargil avera. Lest chas v'shalom, they could come and do the avera. They're going to come and sleep with each other. Aval mutar liyached ima, etc. So on. But you're allowed to be with her in the same room. Rabotai, we see from over here many halachot regarding when a woman is in Nida. I do not know where the Zohar is. I should have actually brought it down, quoted it. It just came to my mind, but I would love to share it with you. We need to understand that Hashem works measure for measure. If you are with your wife when she is in Nida, Hashem will see to it that you're not going to be with your wife when she is not in Nida. And that could chas v'shalom come in many places. Hashem can imprison the guy, so now he cannot be with his wife even when she's not in Nida. The husband can become paralyzed. Now when she's not in Nida, he can't even do anything with her. Or the husband, Lolin Rabotai, can die chas v'shalom. And now she's not in Nida, he can't be with her. Rabotai, we need to try to educate ourselves and the laws of Nida. If you can, ask your local Rabbanim to make a group for your husbands, or the husbands themselves, maybe get a Talmid Chacham, and learn the halachot Nida. There are a lot of halachot that we need to know. I wish every single one of us, HaKadosh Baruch Hu should bless us with arichat yamim, arichat shanim, long life, long years, long days, a lot of parnasa b'ezrat Hashem, b'shefa. Our children should only go in the ways of the Torah. We should see nacht from them. Each one of us, may we do the will of Hashem. Baruch Adonai Le'olam. Amen ve'amen.